I wanted to talk about minimalism in regards to my trip to Disney World. We had a really good time at Disney World. There were good experiences. Our children had fun. All of them, even he had fun, even though he won't remember it. Disney World is gigantic. You need a lot of days. We were there for a whole week and we didn't even see everything. It was way too expensive. Now, we didn't pay for the actual trip. It was gifted to us. And some of the food was also provided for us. However, we actually had no idea that we were going to have to spend any money when we were going. There was just not that communication brought to us. So we didn't plan or save exactly for the trip, which is not good because whenever we go on trips, I always put money away. My last video of the road trip going down, it's because I paid for an Airbnb in April. I had saved for that. We did stay at the Riviera resort, which was gorgeous. I loved it. As a minimalist, I like to live slowly. I don't want to be rushed. With everything I do, I want to enjoy and embrace it. Just like I enjoy your smile right now. So therefore, at the resort, I felt rested. I felt relaxed. I enjoyed it. We only spent 2 times at the pool, and I would have really have loved to have been there more. I was just having such a nice time being in the water. It was lovely. So we went with Rob's family, his parents and his sister. My father-in-law is in a wheelchair, so that made some of it a little interesting, trying to find rides for him that would take him. There was one thing that we went to, my older sons, they made these lightsabers. And as a minimalist, I raised them and Rob has raised them to enjoy what we already have and that there's no need to have things that just kind of sit around. They were gonna have these lightsabers and I'm thinking like, okay, well the experience will be nice, but they're not going to use these things. If we've been home like 3 weeks or something, they haven't touched them. They're just in an area. I'm going to give you some pros and cons. So this is as a minimalist, giving you some cons. Food. Okay. Yes, if I thought about it, I would have brought lots of food with me for the nights. If you go and you stay at a resort, leave early to go into the parks and get back in time for dinner. Like get back at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, make your food with everyone at the resort or wherever you're staying. It's so much cheaper. The only meal that I made while we were there were pancakes and it was for a breakfast. I did bring my own pans because I was thinking like, I don't know if they have non-toxic things because as a minimalist, I'm very into what my sustainable outcomes are for like everything. Like minimalism to me is more than just not having stuff, it's having the right things and the right tools. I have a hard time when it comes to like having to be in a group. I will not voice it because I don't want to offend. I'm like afraid to step on toes. I'm afraid they're gonna be mad at me and I didn't want that. I should have brought my own food, guys. So if you go, bring your own food. But I didn't know what the day would look like. I didn't know exactly what I'd eat. I didn't know everything, and because I didn't ask the right questions to myself or to anyone. So if you go to Disney World, ask yourself questions and plan. If I had actually planned the trip myself, I think I would have been a little bit better with that stuff, but I didn't want to interfere. I also got my period for the second time since I gave birth. And so I don't know how to deal with these hormones because it's been so long. I'm dealing with Rob's family and I'm trying to be my best version of myself. I did my best to be calm in situations, but I'm not someone who actually stresses out. So when I see other people stress out, I'm like, why are they stressing out? And then when they stress out, then I'm like, they're putting stress on us and that's not right. So when you go as a big group, communicate with each other in the best way possible. So food, the best foods I had there. Here's a pro for you. Out of all the places we went to, we did eat at some really like nice places. Crystal Palace was a buffet in Magic Kingdom. Absolutely loved their food that they had there. They had so many different choices. Such great health options, really good choices. The only thing that probably wasn't was the grits. I am someone who loves to try new things, so if I see something buffet style, it's like the perfect opportunity for me to say, I've never had this, let me try it. So I did that for a couple things, and I was like, oh, this was great. I would have loved to eat in there twice if I could. It was my favorite out of everything. Another great place was over in Disney Springs. We went to an Irish pub. Can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. And they had like Irish step dancers there. They had music that was live. Amazing. The food, they had such great food. I really enjoyed it. My kids loved what they ordered. Definitely a great place to go to. Is it called Hollywood Studios? I believe that's what it's called. An Italian place at Rizzo. I know it's Rizzo the Rat. I don't remember the name of the place, but it's a Muppet. Rizzo is a great Muppet character. So anyway, it was an Italian place, really good food there. Everyone enjoyed their meal. Otherwise, if you're going to just get food on the run while there, I don't recommend it. I feel like they gave you hardly any food for the amount that you pay. You pay like $12 for something that has a little tiny bit in the center, and it's like this big of a taco. And you get like 3 little tacos like this with just a tiny bit of meat and like nothing on it. And it was dry in one area that we went to, and I was so upset because I was like, we spent $74 on a meal for our family of 5 at that place. And I was like, that's $74 I didn't want to spend. That I didn't even plan or budget to spend, and it was a waste of my money. And as a minimalist, I care where my money goes. As someone that cooks like every single meal at home, I'm used to that food. And then I go somewhere where the food is not good, I'm gonna be disappointed. In the new Tiana section, where they have the log flume, they had a shrimp gumbo. It was the last meal that I ate there with sweet potato fries, and they gave you a great portion. And then I also bought beignets that they had, where they put like some honey on it and powdered sugar, and they gave you like I ordered 2, and they gave you a big like amount, really good beignets. So that was totally worth it. I was very glad. Aside from that, minimalism is all about the experience that you have and spend together. That we had at Disney World. It was a great experience. The kids had a great time going on rides. There was something for everyone, not enough for handicapped people. They had fireworks shows on a regular basis, like every night. At every little place, you could see some sort of display of fireworks and lights and such. However, when it's a huge place and you have to walk like crazy all over the place, and I love to walk and I walk a lot, it was too much walking in one day with the hot sun. So when you're in that heat, you have to stay hydrated. We used our own bottles. They had refill stations barely anywhere. They had water fountains, which didn't always work. And the refill stations, there were some that were hot. It's just like, where are they? Gotta try to find one. Strollers, I'm gonna tell you right now, bring your own stroller if you can. I don't know if all of the strollers are this way, but there was one point where we were out in the pouring rain and our stroller got soaked, and we had ponchos, and I brought my own poncho, a poncho that had a lining inside. I was able to cover Dane at points with my poncho with the lining covering him so he could stay cozy, which is so good I did. But as a mother, when I had a stroller soaked, I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Maybe I'll get one of their strollers, not knowing how their stroller would look, where he would get completely rained on the way it was set up. And he's too little for it because he's only 1, and it was made more for like someone that was 2 and up. So definitely, if you plan to go to Disney World, bring your own stroller. The last con that I'll say is the rain. I've never been to Florida before. I didn't know what to expect. Rob has his own rain jacket, but the problem is his rain jacket was very thin, and I feel like it didn't cover him properly. And I'm going to put my family first and their health. So when it rained that much, I wanted to just go back to the resort because I wanted to make sure they would be okay. But the next day, it poured all throughout the morning into some of the afternoon. Rob got really soaked. In doing so, he got a fever. Now I didn't have a thermometer, but feeling his body that night, he definitely had 102 fever. And it definitely went down in the morning, but he wasn't feeling right. We had to go home the next morning. He still had a little fever, and he drove. And instead of doing what I usually do to make stops along the way because of his health, we only made food stops. So we drove back to North Carolina, and Rob still felt warm that night. It's like it got worse again, and then he woke up feeling a little better, where he didn't feel hot at all the next day. But he was blowing his nose the entire ride. He brought tissues from Disney World from our resort. When we got home, Lato got a fever the next day, and then the next day after that, I had a fever for a day. The next day after that, Dane got a fever that lasted 2 days, and it went up to almost 103. It was 102.7 Fahrenheit. Thankfully, Micah didn't get a fever, so he was the healthiest of us all. But just the fact that we had to deal with that, the after effects, that we came home not rested, and Rob had to go back to work the next day. Lato went back to work as well while still sick. His fever went away by the time he went to work, but he was not feeling well at work. They let him go home an hour early. So this was the issue, is that when you're at Disney World, it's going to rain, and you got to figure out what's best for you. Are you going to stick it out because you want to go on all the rides, or are you going to make the decision to leave to help your family's health? And I wish that I left sooner. On the last day, we stayed because it did clear up. So thankfully that happened, or I would have been like out. And I even told Lato, who wanted me to go to the fireworks, I said, I'm going to play it by ear. I said, I don't know. It might not happen, and you have to accept that. I can understand why people have Disney passes where they could go on a regular basis. Disney World wore me out, wore me down. I did not feel well rested. I did not feel like it was a proper vacation. It was fun. We had a good time. We made great memories, beautiful memories too. As someone who likes slow living and minimalism, I feel I'm not cut out for Disney World. I survived it. There were a lot of cute things that I enjoyed. I wish we were at Epcot and Magic Kingdom more. I loved those. I did not enjoy Animal Kingdom much. The safari was great. Otherwise, I didn't really care for it. I felt like we were there for way too long. Epcot was my favorite. I loved it. And also probably because there weren't as many rides there, so it was more my pace. I had so much fun that day. Magic Kingdom was just very cute. There were places I didn't see when we were there. It would have been fun to explore a little bit more, but that's okay. I'm not really a fan of Hollywood Studios. There were some nice aspects, but I felt like I could have just done one day there. The Star Wars section was cool. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't like to be a negative person. I am known for being very sunshiny and positive, but when you have an experience where there are these ups and downs, it's hard to regulate if it was ultimately the most amazing thing. We live in a rushed society, and I try to not be a part of that. So if you're a minimalist, enjoy the experience if you want to, if you save for that. If I could go back in time several months, like January, I would have started saving. I would have put away money. You're gonna see rides, but they're not typical rides, so I'm so sorry. Enjoy my clips.
That someday I'd be the conductor of this train. And wouldn't you know?
Look at the pretty farmhouse.
Look at her.
We're about to enter Japan. And we're all very excited about it, aren't you guys? Yeah, but what about these cuties?
Yeah, then there's these guys. Yeah, hi.
I know. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Beauty and the Beast sing-along, the matchmaker who worked behind the scenes to help our lovers fall in love. You don't believe me?
Junk for you. Now to some of you, this may look like a lot of old junk. So I want to clarify. Some of it's new junk.
You can do it. Use the force.
Sometimes the kyber crystal's a little stubborn. It's a reflection of the builder. Does that sound about right?
Really, everybody else.
At their skulls, and Okapi's tongues are so long, guess what? They can lick their own eyeballs. The picker, so they don't have anything they want to put in their mouth. Same when they drink water, they're going to slurp it up about halfway and then put it in their mouth. A lot thinner and wider. So you can tell it's a female or the rest are the male. They're a lot
Very well.
continent of Africa, which is the most type of common elephant you'll see. You see them flop.
You're all waltzing so beautifully together.
I'm here in Italy. It's that part. In Disney World.
And Italian.
We were just in Germany before. We got this amazing thing. We're almost done with it. We're savoring it. It is a salted caramel snickerdoodle.
Sandwich cookie.
We went to Norway, England, China,
Canada.
We still have places to go to.
Went through Africa.
Man, we've just been traveling. So you can see Germany over here. Can you see it?
Yep.
And look at the beautiful view. And I think we're going to enter colonial America, I think is next.
The Millennium Falcon. Is he here?
We're done.
They don't have information. Clear the way.
We're having a great day.